Okay, Dave. Little video recap for you, mate, from your evaluation today. So, first thing first of all, we're observing a pull and a pull fade, aren't we? Right. When you got your driver out, there was a couple with your driver which just veered off and then started curving to the left. But the pattern with from your short irons to your driver was a ball that was starting left of the ropes. And for me, generally speaking, had a little fade on it, right? So the first thing that we talked about was why that's happening. Well, first and foremost, you set up that way, i.e. toes are pointing that way, hips are that way, shoulders are that way. So you set up to pull it already, okay? And then just looking at your swing a little bit, a little over the top of the plane coming down, maybe just a fraction out to in, just a fraction, and then how you get there. What we spoke of in your takeaway was, your hands moving from the bottom red line up onto the top red line, right? And then your hands moving quite upwards, right? So now the shaft and your club are kind of going through your shoulder, if not above your right shoulder. And then at the very top, hands on top of your right shoulder, right? Where you see the pros, they've got their hands deeper over there, right? More behind their right shoulder. How do we get there? Well, quite a lack of, certainly very obvious there, the lack of turn, right? In the shoulders. A little bit of a lack of turn in the hips. But also, from this face-on view, very obvious that the balls, don't forget your toes are pointing to the left, and ball position is very forward, right? You set up that way, set up for a pull already, and then because your hands are kind of being picked up very high, right? Left arm's not really that much across the chest, so let's. And I think I pulled up. Who's the pro that I pulled up? Maybe Charlie Wee, right? Just to give you the example of. Just to give you the example of the left arm being across the chest, right? So we put a few lines where what he's doing, line up the club, line through his elbows. So you can see as he takes it away, his hands are coming up the bottom red line, right? So that at P2 there, his left arm's more across his chest. And if you keep going, left arm's going to be more across the chest, right? Whereas you look at where his hands are now, kind of going through the base of his right bicep, where yours are really upright, going above your shoulder, right? And then as he gets up to the top, draw a line up from his right shoulder. You can see his hands well behind his right shoulder. From there, with a square setup, we've got a chance of the club coming down in the slot, right? Between those two red lines to attack the ball from the inside. So that's what I mean by getting your hands deeper, right? That's what I mean by getting your hands deeper. Put these lines back for you. So getting up to the top, lack of turn, so set up to the left, set up to pull it, hands pretty straight, lack of turn, and then as we come down, really good action, really nice action with your hands, great lag. Struggling with a little bit of weight forward, aren't we, right? Kind of staying back on our right foot a little bit. Not really ever getting your right pocket over your left foot, right? So there's definitely a moving the weight forward issue. And then from the top of the swing there, as we come down, like we said, a little bit above the plane. And then an impact. Very square, right? So I'll do this in green. So hips are out the way a little bit. Shoulders are square. Right heel's only like half an inch off the ground, right? You see the pros at impact, shoulders, hips, 30 degrees open, right heel, a lot more off the ground, right? So and then you know the what's very common for guys that don't open their turns enough is for that club face then to whip over, right? And that's certainly where your draw could come from. Pull hook, you know, you said you turned up and you said, you know, you got a pull hook. Well, you weren't pull hooking it for me, you were pull fading it, you know. But certainly with your action and what's going on, with not opening your body enough at impact, staying a little bit closed, and then you know the guys generally, you know, a commonality, a pattern, if you like, is that if you keep your turns closed, that club face is going to whip over, right? So let's kind of show you a before and after, right? So before on the left. Before on the left. After on the right. Right, so straight away we've got to stick down to help you with your setup, right? We've gone from an open setup, shoulders, hips and toes, to a square setup, shoulders, hips and toes. And then the drill was from that square setup, get your hands moving a little bit more inward, right? So you can see now going into P2 there, how your hands are only just fractionally above that bottom red line, whereas the one on the left, you've already brought your hands straight up onto the top red line, right? So, you know, that changes your arm position straight away. Before, you picked your hands up, arms only a little bit across your chest. Now your hands are staying more inward. We can still do a much better job than this, right? But you can see how your hands are deeper. Left arm's more across the chest, right? Maybe get rid of these lines. And you can see the difference in club. Right now it looks like the club's starting to get underneath, not quite. I mean, still going through the shoulder a little bit, but you know, through the shoulder is better than above the shoulder, right? So now you're through the shoulder. Here you're above the shoulder. Right, and just that tiny little change, and look at the difference in what it looks like with your arm as well. Right, so just making that tiny change, and we can do a much better job than that, and that's what we're going to be working on hard when you come back and have your golf lessons. Now, you see how that shaft is coming down closer to the top red line. You actually get your club head on the top red line all the way down into the ball. So now I'm seeing a path which is attacking the ball more from the inside, look. See the club head attacking the ball from the inside. From here, very much over the top, right? Slightly across the ball, right? So that's really good, right? Massive change there. And then if we do it before and after, with face on, the one on the left you set up for a pull, the one on the right you set up for a push. So you know, we've got a square stance. What we also did was pull the ball position a lot further back, right? Now you're looking at more of a central ball position rather than off your left heel, right? Shaft's leaning forward more, and as the shaft's leaning forward more, you know, we're also pointing the club face out to the right more, right? All of that we've done in the setup. And then because the hands are moving inward more, we should see a better turn, right? So let's say that's the top of your swing. Shoulders, hips. Shoulders, hips, right? So better, a little bit better, right? A little bit better. That's really good. That's really good. Well done. So practice that, mate. That should make a massive difference straight away with regards to your ball flight and the shape of shots that you're hitting. And like I say, because you've come in because you're frustrated because you want to start hitting a draw. Well, a real draw is a push draw, right? You've got to set it out to the right and actually draw it back onto the target. A draw's no good if it's starting left because you're just going further and further away from the target. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions, just shoot me over an email. Thanks, Dave.